G'day mates, welcome back to WCS Summer. We're in our last best of 3 for the day. It's been a long day of Starcraft, some great stories, some great upsets. And let's see if we got another one ahead of us as Future faces his countryman Neeb. Casting this one with Roddy. Kev, what are your thoughts on this series?
I mean, we kind of did the preview as well, so it's really funny to sit here once again. It's like, what would you think, man? It's like, I think we both favor Neeb, but we also don't underestimate Future at all because Future is really damn good, and he's had his success already on LAN. Now, obviously, this is a bit different. This is the first time that he's in Europe, and obviously that may bring some extra pressure to his shoulders, and there is a chance that he might not play his absolute best. On the other end, for Neeb, I mean, this is a very familiar feeling. He's sitting on stages all the time, all around the world. He's been victorious all around the world as well. He won a tournament in China. He's obviously won tournaments in Europe in the past. So for Neeb, this is just another day at the office. For Future, this is kind of new, very exciting, and I just hope that Future can show what he's made of, because if he brings his A game here in Maynard, it's going to be very hard for Neeb.
Absolutely, and this is a matchup that Neeb's actually voiced some concerns in the past. Like he's had a hard time with some of the Terrans, and I mean, for Future, he's earned his stage, his seat up here on the stage. He definitely deserves to be up here. Did a great job in qualifiers. It's a long way from Cheesadelphia, though. This is a much different beast. This is the big boy, WCS.
Yeah, but no canning here, so in that way.
That is true.
And that is a little bit easier.
And that's our loss, really. Not having the
everybody's
can
loss.
Yeah, not having the can at your tournament.
But you know what? You can't have them everywhere, because then tournaments won't be the same anymore.
There are so many ladder zergs that need to be disrupted right now. He doesn't have time for WCS Summer.
Alrighty, guys. It should be a really fun one. We hope so, at least. It's going to be our final best of 3 on the main stage. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a lot more StarCraft 2. But for now, let's just go ahead and take a look at what these nerds have to show. Who's going to take second place in this group? Will it be this man, the American Terran, spawning on the left top side of the map? It is Future.
Represented by Infinity Gaming, and his opponent in the bottom right, a 3-time WCS champion. 2017 was his year. Can 2019 start to fade into his a little bit more? This is Ting's Neeb.
Well, of course, he did win Winter, right? Obviously,
yeah,
the
Winter.
Yep.
Usually wins Challenger as well.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. He's won quite a few of those as well in the NA scene. So obviously 2019 has not been a bad year yet for Neeb. We're all kind of waiting for him. A lot of people are looking at Neeb as the guy to finally take a series of Serral in one of these tournaments where it matters the most. Of course, we did see Raynor winning Winter, but Winter still had a different feel to it than most other WCS circuit events. Just a different format. It was very fun, and I really love following it, but it's still different. When it comes to the circuit stops, so to speak, Serral obviously winning the last, what is it now? 5 in a row, obviously, and then you don't even include the other tournaments that Serral won, which is quite a few by now. So
I think it's 10 Premier tournaments, I think. Like Home Story Cup twice.
GSO is the world, WCS Global Finals. Yeah. He won the first season of the Clash StarCraft 2 Invitational as well. He casually won like 11 best of 5s in a row. He's like, he's nice. Like, I did drop some maps. It's like, well, that happens most of the time when you play 11 best of 5s, mate. So what are you hoping for here from Future? Would you like to see him go like heavy on the aggression? Would you like to see him drop?
I kind of want to see Future go a little bit in A here, and it looks like this might shape up to be a proxy, as we see the a barracks being dropped here. So he's going for a double barracks opener.
That is really weird, by the way,
Neeb's
guys.
also going for a proxy pylon and starting off with some with the adept. So
is he going to build a robo?
This could be actually a robo or a Stargate.
We're going
a couple
for
options here. And this is the kind of game I wanted to see, man. I wanted to see Future get a little bit weird and fight fire with fire. Neeb dropping that Stargate as well. So going to be very hard for Future to defend this.
Yeah, that Stargate is going to be quite a bit closer than they normally are, which means that Oracles will show up a little bit quicker. Is Future going to build like a tech lab on the other side of the map for some Marauders with concussive shells?
I guess so. That would make more sense than going for a second reactor, right?
Yeah, I mean, or just building Marines, obviously, but that would be very weird as well. I'm a bit worried here because the idea here is clearly that Future is going to move out. But if you move out with all of your Marines to the other side of the map, there is a good chance that this Oracle is going to kill a tremendous amount of SCVs. This could be a very good Marine movement here by Future. He gets a couple of good hits off. I mean, this is just going to be weird, Maynard. You wanted NA, you're going to get NA, baby.
And Neeb hasn't seen anything that's out of the ordinary just yet. You know, everything looks pretty standard. There's still, an expansion on location, a reactive barracks opening, but we're seeing concussive shell and Marauder, you call it, Roddy, happening on the other side of the map. And 4 Marines actually can handle an Oracle on their own.
Yeah, but the thing is, all of these Marines are going to rally to the other side of the map, right? Because that's the whole idea of getting that second barracks there. So Neeb is probably going to be really confused. He's like, what are these Marines doing here? Good adept movement. So far, these adepts are actually keeping these Marines at home, which Future may not notice, but this is actually a blessing in disguise because he's going to need these Marines at home against the Oracle.
And Neeb might rethink pushing these Marines back into the natural.
I mean, he doesn't notice, because normally a Terran player doesn't run their Marines to the other side of the map, though.
That is true. I mean, Neeb can, of course, just skirt past that natural and go for the main base. Future has not seen the Oracle just yet, although he may have just seen it now. As he heads towards the main, obviously no defense here. The Marines leaving the infrastructure of the Terran. They do get the Adept kills, but the Oracle is shaving off those SCVs from that main mineral line.
Do we have a battery in the natural of Neeb? I mean, this Oracle is obviously going to go pretty crazy. We had one battery already. That's very important, and we're immediately getting 2 more. I mean, Future told me earlier today, he's like, I've got some special builds prepared. And I'm like, oh, really? He's like, no, you don't get it. Like, really special. No one has ever seen this. He's like, I've got a really sick win record with them. Let's see what all of these Marines and these 2 Marauders can get done. It's 3 Marauders with concussive shells.
That's not bad.
Obviously, the Oracle should just come home, right? The SCV is being pulled as well. We're going full NA, but with all these batteries, aren't like the Adepts and Oracles always going to win this?
Yeah, it just feels like there's not enough anti-air here, really. I mean, the Oracles are running out of juice, though.
The
one Oracle nearly down. The Probe Pool definitely helping a little bit here against the SCVs and the Marines, but nice control from Future. He's keeping the Bio at the back line, letting the SCVs take all the damage from this Probe Pool.
I can't believe that he still has 24 SCVs, by the way. He lost a lot of SCVs, he pulled SCVs, and he still got 24. But now we have 3 Oracles, and that should be so much DPS. There's no way that the Marines are going to win this fight. Good micro dab by Neeb as well, saving his Oracle. Jeez Louise, that was very, very well done. And suddenly I think Future is in a lot of trouble. GG gets called immediately, and Neeb will take the victory in game 1.
Honestly, like, even though that game seemed a little one-sided and it was over really quickly, and a lot of people like the longer, closer games, I like that Future's playing like this. I think this is one of the best ways to try and get a victory on Neeb, who is someone that he's not living in fairyland. He knows that he's not favored here. This is this very, very strong Protoss, but this is the kind of stuff to get under his skin and really make him think.
Yeah, obviously, if Neeb would have opened up with a Twilight Council here, it would have been a lot better for Future. I think if Neeb opens up with an Immortal, or let's say a robotics facility, but then opens up with an Observer, this could also be very, very promising for Future. I really think that his build going up against Proxy Oracle was just one of the worst case scenarios out there.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And Neeb did the Proxy Oracle without having much knowledge on this build from Future. I mean, Future seemed pretty adamant that he hadn't shown it off before and that Neeb was going to get caught by it.
Yep.
So it's just a little bit of a build order lost.
Sometimes you just get a little unfortunate in Starcraft 2. I think in the end Future did his best to make something out of it, but Neeb is so good. He realized pretty quickly that something weird was happening when he's like, okay, I know I'm good, but my Oracles are not supposed to do this much damage.
Yeah, I mean, and also his Oracles didn't see a factory at home, there's no starport or nothing like that. Like, okay, drop all the shield batteries we need to hold.
And then obviously he did a good job saving the Oracles there as well. But with 3 Oracles, he's almost always going to be okay there. Because normally the main problem are not the Marines, are the Marauders, right? Like if you're playing a Stalker opening, or even if you go for, like, let's say, Gateway Robo, you get 1 Observer, and then, oh my god, he's attacking me. Then you Chrono Boost out the Immortal. But then things can get already quite dicey, especially if SCVs were pulled as well, and a couple of them were pulled. But yeah, this was just a bad scenario for Future. He gambled, and this time he gambled wrong, because the Oracles was simply something he couldn't deal with.
Sometimes you roll snake eyes. Just happens.
That's good, man, if you bet the field.
Something tells me Future just didn't there on Cyber Forest.
No, he just rolled 7 out. That's never good.
We're gearing up for map number 2 here. Wondering what the map actually was. Did you get into the lobby over there?
No, I did not.
Oh, rip. Well, that's okay. We have a screen here, and we can watch the action just like all you guys at home. In the top left of Kairos Junction, Infinity Gaming's Future.
Now, no one needs to bring it back against this man. One of the favorites for this entire tournament. Maybe not the top favorite, but definitely one of them. It is Neeb. Of course, representing Ting, like he has been doing for a very, very long time. That's probably the best pickup they could have ever made. Like, we're going to pick up this NA Protoss, and then he just won everything in 2017.
Almost as good as NC Sports' pickup.
Yeah, that one's pretty solid as well. It's funny as well, right, how certain teams that don't even necessarily have like a super long history or just a personal sponsor is like, yeah, we're going to go for this one guy. Sometimes you have teams, they pick up like 6 players and none of them really ever break through. And then you've got certain organizations like, we'll go for this one particular individual.
Just the one.
Yep, and that one just happens to win everything for quite some time.
Well, it's quite common in StarCraft, right? Well, not that they win everything, but that their team just has that one player that they support and fly them around and pay them a salary and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it even happened in the early days. If you think back of like SK, they never really had a team, but they had MC for a very, very long time. He was kind of their flag carrier. Yeah, definitely something that goes back to the early days. Neeb getting that cybernetic score before the Nexus. Now, this is not a massive tell, but maybe he's scouting. And he's like, yeah, let's just be safe here, because he's like, see that my opponent is going for a factory before the expand. Also not something that's super weird, but at the same time not super standard. The most standard opening here is obviously the Repair Fast expand. So I'm really wondering where Future is going to take this, by the way, mate.
Yeah, he's actually pulling back from taking a natural as well. I think he's faking a natural.
Is he just like one base all-in? Does he have an SCV out on the map? He does not, right? What is
No,
this?
he's
Like
pulled
a
everything
one-base
back home.
Hellion opening?
Yeah, it looks kind of Hellion-y, right? Like straight into a starport. It's got to be something like that. He has to spend the gas somehow, actually.
I mean, I think the Reaper fast expand and Hellion into proxy starport is one of my favorite TvP openings. I feel like it always deals so much damage. Maybe he's just going to open up with like...
pulled out of gas.
He's just going to build some Hellions, I guess.
Right.
He's just going to rally like 2 Hellions to the other side of the map and hope that he kills a whole bunch of probes.
Well, he's certainly showing us some new stuff here, which is great. Neeb's being body blocked away from that natural. He's not going to be able to have a look at that until he gets a gateway, which is going to be a Stalker first by the looks of things.
Can we take a look at the natural of Neeb? Because I do believe he's got a battery, right? Yeah, so very, very early battery. This time he's going for the Robo as well. I think Neeb is a tiny bit worried about this being like a crazy all-out one base all-in. This Stalker is going to be very annoying. Now, obviously, 2 Hellions and the Reaper can fight this. What a weird way to do this, by the way, for Future. It was Marine first, now 2 Hellions, then the Reaper. Like, this is just all so uncommon. I mean, the Stalker is going to get a very good scout off. He's going to recall it as well. The Stalker is going to stay alive. And I think that's a very smart recall because you can't run away from Hellions. Hellions are faster. The Reaper is faster. I think this makes perfect sense. And what a great scout by Neeb.
So the plan here for Future is to go across the map and try and hammer that probe line, but Neeb knows it's coming now. He's seen it. He's seen the reactive factory. He's seen the Hellions and the natural. The Reaper is here to grenade those Stalkers and open up the natural a bit.
I'm still worried, though, for Neeb because Neeb doesn't really have a wall off. And Neeb doesn't really have a way to simply wall off the top side of his ramp either. He's going to get one Stalker there. So these Hellions, they should be able to get quite a few probes. Let's see how many they actually get. They're just going to drive by. 1 Hellion did go down already. Future needs at least 10 workers here, guys. Like, at least.
Well, he's lost 2 Hellions so far, and the third one's about to drop as it gets target fired by those Stalkers. Probe count is looking to be 7 kills here.
Quite a bit of lost mining time as well, so I do think that makes it a tiny bit better, but I'm not going to say that this was a massive success. Like, there are certain openings where if you kill 7 probes, it's great, but this time the investment by Future was a lot bigger because his expand was a lot later, and then suddenly 7 probes Maynard, while not really having any real good tech at home, I'm not really feeling it for Future.
I like this from Neeb. Going into a Warp Prism after a trade like that, he knows that Future really wanted to do a lot of early game damage and then just sort of ride into the mid game having a bit of an economic advantage. He's at that moment where the Terran's starting to get those add-on upgrades, like switching over his structures. He's trying to get his production in gear, but it's not in gear yet. He's producing nothing from the factory. One of his barracks doesn't have a reactor on it just yet, and he's got a Prism and Stalkers heading across the map.
Yep, there is a very good chance. Oh, Neeb is going to get a sentry as well. Maybe he's going to try to force field Future outside of his main base because these 5 Marines, that's pretty much all that Future has at the moment. Now, there are a couple of units on the way, but Neeb is probably going to do exactly what you said, Maynard. He's going to try to keep Ken on top of that production. He's got the Observer there as well. He could do it if he wants to.
Maybe he wants some Stalkers to get into that Prism before he gets up there, or another sentry warp in.
Look at that tech lab. Okay, so he's going to get 2 sentries.
He could potentially get Stim here.
Yep. I mean, he wants to, but he's got to go for it right now, though.
Yeah.
Stim is very, very quick this time. It's a lot quicker than in this for most Terran builds. Here we go, guys. Some old school Protoss magic. He's going to force field Future on the low ground. Look at that tank, though. That tank could be very, very crucial here. Full SCVs, Future. You need to keep your tech lab alive.
Well, he's going for the reactor here, so he's not going to be able to get that tech lab, I think, with this, especially with the siege tanks here. Actually, Future doing a great job defensively so far.
I honestly thought that was going to be a lot worse. I mean, Neeb, maybe a little bit indecisive there, maybe wasting a tiny bit too much money, because he definitely could have entered the main base before the tank was ever out. Right now, I look at it, and I'm like, well, Neeb's floating a little bit of money. He's getting his stack, but it's going to take a long time before that Robo Pay and that Twilight Council really comes into play, right?
Yeah, now this is the part of the map where it sort of shoes on the other foot. Now the Protoss is trying to tech forward, and the Terran's going to have a spike in army supply shortly as they start to get all their production into gear. We're getting into Neeb's first-person cam here. You can see the all eyes are on trying to pick off some of the juicy little items here. Want some Marauder pick-off, Mule pick-offs. They're all the primary targets here for the Stalkers. But of course, you just take what you can and leave.
Yeah, but I'm a bit worried because I look at that Stim. That's done already. Obviously, I look at +1 weapons finishing up, 2nd tank. I think Future is going to be able to make one hell of a push. And I think it's going to be really hard for Neeb to delay it because this time he doesn't have Blink Stalkers. Like, yeah, you've got a Prism and a couple Stalkers, but I actually think that Future's army is going to be really powerful, like a minute from now. And I think that's when he's going to force the fight. And Neeb is going to have to buy a lot of time with his force fields until he gets like that first Colossus out and maybe that second Colossus. But I think there is hope here for Future.
I agree, and also Neeb has not got to look at how big the army is of Terran. A few of those units are in the main base waiting for that War Prism, which I don't think he just saw. There's an extra tank in there as well. Neeb, once again, going into that natural. He's doing a great job here, picking off those SCVs, keeping the Stalkers alive with that Prism. Not enough bio to kill everything here, but Neeb's actually sticking around a little bit too long. Decent micro there on that last Stalker. Loses one.
But he's not delaying the army in the middle of the map.
Oh, here we go.
Yep, Futures is pulling all the SCVs.
Send that Prism home.
The sentries are very, very important, guys, because the sentries can buy a lot of time here for Neeb, and every second that goes by against an SCV pool is obviously phenomenal for the Protoss and very, very bad for the Terran. Good scan there. He gets the high ground almost immediately. That's a very weird stim. A very early stim before the majority of the units are here.
And the medevacs aren't here either.
Oh, man, the bio count looks so small. What happened?
I think some of it's still coming in from the main base. See some more units coming through the middle of the map. There's the rest of them, I think. And there's the medevacs. So now the medevacs can heal up these units and keep everything alive. But there is a Colossus here for Neeb. The longer this goes, the better it is because he has that defender's advantage. He has extended thermal lance and Colossus on the way. The charge lot's moving on forward here. The SCV's doing their job a little bit. Force Well's getting down as well. Some of those units are on those tanks. The tanks are target firing down that Colossus. They really wanted to go down. But Neeb is getting those clutch pickoffs. The factory units are dead. 15 SCVs already dead as well. If Future's reinforcements just don't look like they're enough.
No, a couple of Marines, a couple of Marauders, probably not going to save the day here. Even though Future is chasing this army down, he really wants to get the Colossus. He does get the Colossus.
Here's one he prepared earlier.
Yeah, but another one is going to show up. The last few Marines have gone down, and don't forget, most of the SCVs have gone down. GG. Neeb will win this series in the end, quite convincingly.
I like where Future's head at. Try and get aggressive, try and get weird on the Protoss. Try and show him some builds that he hasn't seen before. But Neeb was just too solid, too careful, especially in game number 2. And really just did his dishes. He did everything he needed to do, dotted his I's, crosses his T's, gets himself a 2-0 victory over Future.
I really love Neeb's opening there in game 2. It really felt that his scouting was on point. And even though he lost a couple of probes, and I was a bit worried because I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe he didn't do that much with the Prism. But in the end, he was able to buy enough time. He gets the Colossus out, he gets the Immortan, he got a really good engagement there with the Zealots. But it just felt that Future didn't have enough, right? Like, you look at that army, it's like, yeah, the tanks and bunkers can be terrifying, but what's the Marine Marauder count at? It looked like 7 Marines and a Marauder without the medevac even.
It felt like he was missing like a medevac from that push, maybe a few more Marauders, maybe a few more Marines, and maybe an extra tank. Like, I'm used to seeing pushes like that hit a lot harder. Of course, Neeb did have that stronger earlier game. Hello, by the way, guys. He had those Stalkers giving him a bit of pressure, maybe a misproduction cycle, maybe the killing the reactor obviously does hurt the production a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back at it, right, that's probably could have been like 6, 7 extra Marines. You go back to the Prism, and it's like, yeah, he's trading a Stalker out for a couple of bio units, but all of this does really add up because Future wants to get this one big army with a lot of DPS and basically 2 stims and then allow the tanks to do the rest of the work. But it just felt that the bio numbers were never there. And it felt like Future, his builds could have been really good in game 1. I think he got unfortunate. And I think in game 2, if Neeb's scouting is not as good as it is, I think all of that can hit a lot harder and a lot stronger. But Neeb is just very, very good at, you know, figuring out something is a tiny bit off here. And I think his scouting was absolutely on point.
He's too damn good. Let's go to the stage with Neeb, our winner, an interview with Smix.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations, Neeb, for our last match of the day. You do secure your spot moving forward to the playoffs. So first things first, it was a clean 2-0 going up against Future. He's an opponent that you have a really strong head-to-head score against. So were you confident that it would be a smooth series?
Not at all, actually. I've had a lot of very close games against him with the games at Storm Cup. Even though I won 4-1, they were very close games. And then in WCS Challenger, he actually should have won that series. So I wasn't expecting a clean 2-0 at all.
On the first map, it just worked out really, really well. You were able to start the shield batteries right in time. Did you just have a good read of what was happening as soon as you scouted his base, or what was your read throughout that entire map?
Yeah, I know that he likes playing the Proxy Marauder, so I kind of expected it. And then I mean, I didn't expect it, but I knew it was a possibility. And then I saw he sent an SCV out which he sent it out at a normal time just to confirm my Nexus and go back home. But it never came back home. I saw with my probe, so I knew it was building something. So I just made a battery to be safe.
Well, it was a clean 2-0, but I did want to ask about an earlier series that you had today, and it was the 2-0 loss against TLO. A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were actually really surprised by it. So can you talk us through that series and what happened there?
Well, I think I got a bit unlucky in the first game, and the second game I made a few mistakes which I don't normally make. So it wasn't too surprising. I wasn't like super surprised. Like he played well, I think, but it's not like he played like unbelievably well and I played my normal level. I just played a little bit worse, I think.
Well, talking about coming into this event here, the last time I spoke to you, you were talking about how your confidence was in pretty good shape. How are you feeling coming into WCS Summer?
I was feeling pretty good the few days when I played practice before coming, but I mean, now that I'm here, I was playing really bad on ladder and stuff, so I'm not, yeah, it could just be jet lag, so, and I used to have this problem where I'd always play bad on Friday and then step it up on Saturday and Sunday. So I hope that's what it'll be like this time.
Well, you have all of tonight to rest, and of course tomorrow is a brand new day. A lot of people have been mentioning your name as a potential player to finally maybe stop this run that Cyril has been on. Has that been something that's on your minds at all, or really are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Yeah, whenever I play tournaments, I tend to just take it match by match. I really prepare all out for one opponent or my next opponent, and then if I win there, then that's when I prepare for the next opponent. So I kind of hoped that I would finish first, so I'd be guaranteed to be on opposite sides of the bracket as Cyril, but I mean, I could be on the same side, right? So, I mean, that'll be tough. I didn't really prepare specifically for Cyril, but I do practice a lot of PvZ, so, I mean, I should be able to show decent games at least.
Well, I think that's a matchup that a lot of people would be looking forward to. But for tonight, get some rest. Hopefully the jet lag resolves itself by tomorrow. And for now, that is the end of the matches for day number 1. Let's wrap up the day with Caleres and the boys at the desk.
A lot of respect there by Neeb given to every potential opponent moving forwards as he's able to take the victory and move on into the bracket stage as a whole. Joining me, I have Fear Dragon, I have the Muslim Gentleman. Neeb gets himself the victory. It's not been the easiest of roads by any means through this group stage, but he's in the bracket. Nevertheless, good to see Neeb there once again.
Yeah, really, really nice to see Neeb there. Of course, it's actually so funny because he was actually making a reference to how he was dominating in 2017, where you'd say Friday you'd always struggle, and it was always like that weird thing where every single tournament that Neeb won, he lost one series on Friday, would make it out second in group stage 3, and then he would go on to win the tournament. So who knows? Hopefully we'll see a good Neeb on tomorrow.
Maybe.
I'm always excited to watch Neeb play, you know, like he's the guy that did dominate before Cyril came along, and his results were very much overshadowed in 2018, like when he made top 4 GSL. And I mean, that's one of the best runs from a foreigner we've ever had, but because Cyril was just winning everything else, people tend to forget about it. But this game against Future and this series against Future, he just looked very on point. He did everything as he should, and Future, these were some curveballs that he was really throwing at Neeb too, and Neeb, he responded very well.
Yeah, so I was talking actually with Future before this series, and he was kind of telling me that he was planning to do this exact build. The idea was you kind of hide the second barracks, and it just looks a lot like a normal build. But like you were saying, Ben, this was super duper well read by Neeb. He really noticed and saw all the right things and was able to adapt. And then game number 2, yeah, this push, it just really didn't work out as well as Future wanted it to.
When you're doing an all-in against Terran and you have less supply, it's like not a good spot to be in. Like, I really feel that Neeb especially, so we talked about how his probe, he spotted that the SCV never came back home, and then when the Marines moved out, he quickly put up the 2 extra shield batteries on top of the one that he already had. It was just a lot of nice decision-making. Nothing flash from Neeb, nothing like super-duper fancy, just all-around solid play. So I'm really happy to see him do well. I'm happy to see him come out second in that group because, yeah, when he lost against TLO, I was a bit like, oh, man, is America going to fail here? Like, and I didn't want that. I do want to see that ultimate showdown between a fully-fledged Neeb and also, like, the god that is Cyril.
Yeah, now that I'm actually looking through the groups as a whole, I think it is it only Neeb and Future left for America and then... Okay.
There might be some. So I know like Estrella got put out in the knockout bracket.
Yeah.
I believe that Kellizer was in there, but I haven't seen if he's still around. But yeah, Future's just sitting in the knockout bracket. And there aren't really too many North Americans left. I think it's just Kellizer and those 2.
Sure.
There were 6 that came, I believe, because there was like Massa,
Scarlet's still alive.
Scarlet's still alive, actually. Yeah, sorry.
Massa technically there as well. Now I'm thinking about it, I forgot the Canadian flag, my friend. I'm just.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Oh, he's currently playing versus Cham right now.
Ah, okay, fantastic. Here are the groups as a whole-ish. With holes. We do have some of the results, as we mentioned before, with our first place finishers taking a spot in the round of 16. Our second place finishers will be taking a spot in the round of 24. And everyone below is either currently in knockout round 5, getting eliminated or advancing on, or found themselves in knockout round 6. So that knockout round 6, of course, tomorrow will be a best of 5 starting off the day to find out who then moves on into the round 24 to battle for even more money. So it's exciting times to see. Our knockout bracket is extremely stacked.
Yeah, it actually looks really, really sick. And I actually want to give a shout out because there are a bunch of community streams that are covering the rest of these games. So even if we finish up here, there's still a lot of StarCraft to watch on all the other community streams.
I mean, there's been some true battlers in the knockout bracket as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just looking at the top here. Vanya went down to the knockout bracket round 1, and he slaughtered Modius, Burning. Now, you might not know these guys that well, but then Ziggy, Estrella, Bystalk, and he's going to be against Gung Fu Banda. And I believe he's made it into the money stages already.
Yeah.
So from knockout round 1 to do that is amazing. Probe, he found a bit of an early exit from Group Stage 3, went up against Denver, but if I call out like any of these names, they're insanely good. Like, it's going to be Lambo against Harstem tomorrow, Goblin against Clem, the Battle of the Youngsters. Whoever wins Cham against Massa is going to be up against Marine Lord, so it's real bloodthirsty.
Yeah. A lot of really good games to start off tomorrow, of course, and then find out who moves on into the round of 24. But then, of course, beyond that, today, what have you guys' highlights been? Obviously, we've had, quite a few games coming our way. We've had some ups and downs for some of these players. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I got really excited when I saw Hellraiser taking a map off of Cyril. I know that sounds.
It was the glimmer of hope.
Yeah, it was the little glimmer of hope that I had for a little bit. But yeah, I think I enjoyed a lot of the games today. Actually, I enjoyed a lot of the games that actually happened on a lot of the community streams, especially.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay. Oh, you were keeping up with quite a few of those as they were
Well,
going.
I was watching it either on the other streams or I was just like standing behind the players
Ah.
because I get to do that here.
Yeah, that is a benefit. Ben?
I mean, like, the result of the day has to be TLO taking out Neeb and passing first in that group.
Yes.
And, he pulled out that famous tennis player quote, like, nobody beats Dario Wunsch 40 or 15 times in a row kind of thing. And, it's really cool. He just came off his honeymoon. He's barely played StarCraft 2 in the past 2 weeks, and he's came here with no pressure whatsoever on himself, which is a massive thing. Like, a lot of players can beat themselves up, but he was just like, you know what? No pressure. I'm just going to see how I do. Like, I'm here with my wife, and he's just having a great time, and he's already in the top 16, so bravo to him.
I feel like that's when TLO does thrive most, when he's kind of like, I have no expectations, I'm going to kind of go in and just see what's going to happen. Do you think he can go even further than the round of 16 that he's currently found himself in? Or?
If he stays in his current, it's almost like he's just very happy playing.
Sure, yeah.
Like, he's never beaten Neeb before, and, like, the story with Future saying, like, oh, yeah, I've got a free win now against TLO, and then bopping him down, too. Like,
You love that.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear some banter and some, bad mouthing kind of thing, then they get shut down. And it's in true American fashion as well.
Yeah.
Talk big, get slapped. Like, I love that stuff.
My God. This was a very British thing. I'm going to go with that. How about yourself, Fear Dragon? You think TLO's got... Or do you think that maybe now that he's done so well in the group stage, he now has expectations?
Oh, now
on
he has
himself?
expectations.
Yeah.
He psyched himself out. I mean, I hope not. I actually am really enjoying watching TLO do well. And I think one of the fun things is he's playing like it. I mean, I always enjoy like a little bit of cheddar, a little bit of cheese in these games. And he's been doing like a lot of the proxy hatches or like a lot of these kind of, hashtag creative sort of all-ins or attacks and stuff, but as well as one or two of these like macro plays. So I've really been enjoying it. I really hope that he can pull it together tomorrow as well.
One thing that's super worth noting as well, like, nobody's looked bulletproof this tournament. Like,
Indeed.
Even though we thought, like, Sarah was going to take it again and stuff, like, the fact that he dropped a map against Hellraiser, and it wasn't anything super cheeky, like, it was a straight-up game. Like, Neeb dropping a series here and there, like, Special dropped a series. Like, there's a lot of the big favorites that have showed that, nobody's safe anymore. Nobody's safe.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and that does it here for a day number 1 of WCS Summer. Tomorrow, of course, we will be coming back with our knockout round number 6, as well as our brackets from the round of 24 onwards into the round of 16, and then the next day, we've got our round of 8, etc. Everything's going to be great. So we shall see you tomorrow for more WCS action. We'll see you then.